Formula One has seen its fair share of close title fights. From the back-and-forth controversial and often volatile fight between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in 2021, to the nail-biting season finale of 2010, which saw 4 drivers go into the season finale with a shot of winning. Despite this, the recent domination of Mercedes and Red Bull have contributed to the idea that the outcome of most championships are decided at the end of the first round of a season. 30 out of 74 seasons have been decided in the final race. That's a strike rate of nearly a half. Historically, a title fight will involve 2 drivers who chop and change orders throughout a season, while drivers around them ebb and flow before others fall out of contention. However, that's not always the case. For example, in 2009, Jenson Button dominated the first 7 races, taking 6 wins and a 3rd place, seemingly ready to run away into the distance. However, the fall-off in performance of his Brawn GP car allowed Sebastian Vettel to close him down and become an outside shot for the championship. Another such example would be the classic 1976 season, which saw Niki Lauda build up a cushion to the chasing pack, only to suffer his fiery and nearly fatal accident and be closed down by Britain's James Hunt, who pipped him to the crown by 1 point. That year's championship was decided by an accident. However, another outcome in another season nearly had the same result. Having sat through the longest intro I've ever done, I hope you'll all let me tell you the story of F1's most unusual title fight ever. The 1970 season came during a time of great change in Formula One. Teams and designers were innovating faster than ever, with monocoque chassis and aerofoil wings coming in the previous 5 years or so, as well as the arrival of the all-conquering Ford Cosworth DFV engine in 1967. The sport had seen Jackie Stewart claim his first championship win the previous year in his Matra, but he was now driving for the Tyrrell team, who were trying to distance themselves from the French marque. 5 previous champions lined up on the grid, with Jack Brabham driving for his own eponymous team. Graham Hill returned to Lotus after an accident in the 1969 US Grand Prix at Watkins Glen broke both his legs. Denny Hulme was entering his 3rd season driving for Bruce McLaren's team after winning the title with Brabham in '67. Meanwhile, the 36-year-old 1964 champion, John Surtees, went into 1970 and begun the winding down phase of his career by starting his own team. The season opener in South Africa saw Brabham take 1st place with his fellow Oceanian Hulme taking 2nd. Stewart took the last step on the podium, while Hill bounced back from his broken legs by finishing 6th, in a drive he later claimed was one of his best, due to the fact that he had a limited range of movement and had to be helped out of the car at the end of a race. The second race of the season at Jarama was an attritional one, as only 5 cars finished, with the event being infamous for a collision between Jackie Oliver and 1969 champion runner-up Jackie Ickx, which saw the track emblazoned with flames as cars passed by the burning wreckages. Stewart won from Bruce McLaren, with Mario Andretti taking his first career podium in 3rd place. Hill was 4th, and Johnny Servos Gavan took 5th place for Matra. Stewart took the championship lead, with Brabham 2nd, Hulme 3rd, McLaren 4th, and Andretti 5th in the standings. Monaco saw future Grand Prix winner and criminally underrated driver Ronnie Peterson make his debut driving a March. Jochen Rindt took his and Lotus's first win of the year, with Brabham in 2nd after the Aussie had locked up trying to defend the race lead going into the Gasworks hairpin on the final lap. 3rd was the Frenchman and future Le Mans winner Henri Pescarolo, 4th was Hulme, 5th was Hill, and 6th was the BRM of Pedro Rodriguez. This race was also the last for Bruce McLaren, as he was killed in an accident at Goodwood 5 days before the next race at Spa. This would be the last race, held on the 14-kilometre layout of the Belgian track, as after boycotting the 1969 race on safety grounds, the drivers were still unimpressed by the event. Rodriguez took the win for BRM to make it 4 winners from the first 4 races, followed closely by Chris Amon, who was driving a March. 3rd was Beltoise, while debutant Ignacio Giunti impressed by taking 4th for Ferrari. Rolf Stommelen was 5th for Brabham, while Henri Pescarolo took 6th despite having retired with 1 lap to go due to electrical issues. After this 4th round, Brabham still led the drivers' standings, followed by Stewart, Rodriguez, Rindt and Hulme. In the next 4 races at Zandvoort, Sherrard, Brands Hatch and Hockenheim, Monaco winner Rindt went on a tear, taking the checkered flag first in all of them. The German race had been moved from the fearsome Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit on safety grounds as the drivers had grown tired of the people running the big tracks assuming that boycotts would never happen due to the prestige of the races at legendary events like Spa and the Nordschleife. Furthermore, the up-and-coming youngster Piers Courage was tragically killed at the Dutch Grand Prix driving a De Tomaso. While Rindt's 4 wins added to his Monaco triumph put his points tally to 45, second-place Brabham had nearly half the Austrians' points on 25. Hulme was 3rd on 20 with Stewart on 19 and Chris Amon was 5th in the championship on 14. Rindt's retirement due to engine failure at the Österreichring allowed Jackie Ickx to win, followed by the newest addition to the Ferrari stable, Clay Regazzoni. Third was Stommelen, then came the BRM pair of Rodriguez and Oliver in 4th and 5th. Beltoise took 6th, and the only change to the driver's standings was that Ickx moved to joint 4th ahead of Stewart. It seemed as if the outcome of this season was done and dusted, as Rindt's advantage would surely only grow larger in the remaining 4 races. However, everything changed when the F1 circus rolled into Monza. This wasn't the Italian circuit we know nowadays. Both the first 2 chicanes and the one at Ascari hadn't been installed yet, and since the 3-litre engine regulations were introduced in 1966, average speeds had just kept increasing. Rindt was approaching the Parabolica corner during Saturday qualifying, doing in excess of 200 miles an hour. However, when he hit the brakes to slow down for the corner, his front right brake shaft failed. His car speared into the barrier on the left-hand side of the circuit, and the resulting injuries from him sliding down in his seat into the cockpit caused fatal injuries. The championship leader was now dead. He was 28. Up until this point, several race-winning or promising young drivers had been killed in accidents. The likes of Jim Clark, Alberto Ascari, Taffy Von Trips, and the youngest Ferrari driver ever, Ricardo Rodriguez, come to mind. However, no driver before had ever died while leading the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship, apart from Clark, who was killed 1 race into the 1968 season. Despite the death of one of the best drivers in the world, as was customary in this era of racing, the Italian Grand Prix wasn't called off due to the fatality. Regazzoni took his first win in Rindt's absence for Ferrari, followed by the march of Jackie Stewart. Beltoise was third for Matra, then came the McLaren of Denny Hulme, the Brabham of Rolf Stommelen, and another march of Francois Sever scoring his first point in F1, rounding out the top 6. With 3 races left and Rindt dead, the top 5 in the driver's standings were the Austrian on 45 points, followed by Jackie Stewart and Jack Brabham equal on 25. Hulme was 4th on 23 and Regazzoni was 5th on 21. The North American leg of the season would see the final 3 rounds be held in Canada, the United States, and in Mexico. The Canadian race at Mont Tremblant saw Ickx win from the front row of the grid, with teammate Regazzoni second. Chris Amon was third for March, then Rodriguez was 4th for BRM. John Surtees was 5th, driving a chassis bearing his own name, and then Peter Geffen was 6th for McLaren. Ickx moved into runners-up in the championship on 28 points, while Stewart and Brabham's inability to score points put them out of the title contention with only 2 races to go. Regazzoni was also out of contention for the championship, as although he could tie Rindt's points tally if he won both of the final 2 races, he would only have won 3 races compared to Jochen's 5. Ickx qualified on pole by half a second, but during the race he had to pit to fix a broken fuel line. This dropped him to 12th place, and the Belgian driver could only recover to 4th. Meanwhile, Emerson Fittipaldi, who'd been thrust into the spotlight due to Rindt's death and John Miles' subsequent retirement from Formula 1, won in only his 4th F1 start. Rodriguez was second, followed by the second Lotus of René Wissel. Ickx was 4th, as I mentioned, then Chris Amon's March and Derek Bell's Surtees rounded out the top 6. Rindt's gap at the top of the driver standings was now insurmountable despite him dying with 4 races left. If the cars of this era didn't have terrible reliability, then I think Ickx would have had more chance to break his bridesmaid curse, as he became well known for coming second more often than winning drivers' titles in his F1 career. The last race of the season in Mexico was supposed to be a formality, however the crowd was around 200,000 people strong, meaning there wasn't much space to fit everyone in. Some fans sat trackside or even crossed the track as cars came along. Nevertheless, Ickx won the final race of the season with nothing to play for, and Regazzoni was second. Hulme was third and fellow Kiwi Chris Amon was 4th. Jean-Pierre Beltoise was 5th for Matra, and home hero Pedro Rodriguez finished 6th. Ickx's win in the final round made him seem closer to Rindt than he actually was throughout the season, as he closed the gap to 5 points behind the Austrian at the end. Regazzoni's late season form meant that despite him not entering 5 of the first 6 races of the season, the Swiss finished 3rd in the driver's standings on 33 points. If we took Regazzoni's points average from the races he did compete in and applied them to the rest of the season, he would have scored 53 points and beaten Rindt to the title in his first season. Then, 4th to 8th places in the standings were separated by only 4 points. Denny Hulme scored 27, while Jackie Stewart and Jack Brabham scored 25 each. They'd both been in the title race at some point, however between them they had a combined finishing rate of only 30%, meaning they both reached the end of nearly half the races their rivals did. In an alternate history, I genuinely believe that at least 5 drivers could have won this championship. Rindt won it for real, Ickx had bad luck, Regazzoni missed nearly half the season and still came third, and both Stewart and Brabham had awful records in the second half of the season due to bad reliability. Brabham could have won his 4th title and retired aged 44. Stewart could have won his 2nd title of what would have been 4 as well, and both Ickx and Regazzoni could have achieved something they eventually never did. However, all of that is conjecture, and as much as there might have been 5 title contenders if things had gone differently, I think that the storyline of having Rindt win the title was probably the best one of the lot. Rindt's death forced more safety procedures to be put into place, and in an era where safety wasn't really concerned, it definitely did help jumpstart a revolution. With that being said, I think that means it's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed me talking about the most unusual title fight in Formula 1 history. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you want early access to videos and behind the scenes content, subscribe to my Patreon for as little as £1 per month. Also, big shout out to my only channel member, Andy Lamberts, but for now guys, I'm Nedzo, and I'll see you all later. Bye!